Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Janine McGowan, and I design cross stitch as the Blue Flower. It is a very warm start to a holiday weekend here in Northern Nevada, and it is a holiday. I know lots of people have plans. For us, those plans mostly involve trying to keep the dogs calm during the fireworks and hoping nobody starts a fire. So it's a little bit different here in the desert, but I am very much enjoying getting to stay inside with the air conditioning, do some stitching, spend some time with my honey, all the good stuff. So I hope you're having a good weekend here as well. Jumping right into stitching in action. First up, we have Carol, and Carol stitched Christmas Carousel. This was a class at Jingle Ball last year, and I absolutely love what she did with this, with the alternating fabric colors. And she said she had to change up some of the colors on the threads to go with the various fabrics, but I think it came out just so beautifully, and it's so vibrant. It almost looks summery with the color she chose. So wonderful, wonderful job, Carol. Now, Carol will be entering these in her county and state fairs, so I don't think they can fail to be impressed with her work. I think it's beautiful. She also finished them as flats rather than the little pillows in the original, and I think it's just a wonderful treatment. So super impressed, Carol. Thank you so much for sharing this with us. Next up, we have Janet, and Janet stitched Huckleberry Farm. She used 28 count Eros Lugana Evenweave from Under the Sea Fabrics, and she used overdyed cotton by Atelier in France. I don't know if I'm saying that right. And Weeks Dye Works. She framed it at Michael's with a beautiful frame, and she stitched it over one. So that whole Huckleberry Farm is probably this big. That is amazing. Janet, I can't believe you did that. And then she gave it to someone. She stitched all of that, and then it was a gift. So it's absolutely beautiful, Janet. I wish I could see Huckleberry Farm that small in person, but I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. And then for the last stitching in action this week, we have Peggy. Peggy has two finishes. First, Coneflower Chorus, and she used 36 count Luna Moth fabric from Bee Stitch Me, which is a lovely fabric. I have a piece of it myself. I just haven't used it yet. And she used the called for Valdani. I absolutely love it. She said she found a thrifted frame that wasn't quite right, but was good, and I agree. It works really well. So thank you, Peggy, on that one. Peggy also finished the Daisy Crown Biscornu, which is one of the new summer releases. She used 36 count Dutch blue fabric from Color and Cotton, which I think is a great choice, and the called for DMC. And she used a button, which I absolutely love. And I can't decide if it looks more like the center of a daisy or like one of those daisies with the really tiny, narrow leaves. Beautiful, beautiful work, Peggy. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing. Now, I will tell you, the website people have set me up to finish stitching in action and get that updated, and I've got a little video from them on how they want me to do all the additions, so I can start the process of catching those up, but that's going to take me a while, so we'll see what I get done on that. On to what I'm stitching. I've made a little bit of progress. Pardon me, there's the yawn. On the Dunkel Memorial Sampler, not too much, but I finished one side of the grass and the little pond in the middle. So I've also pinned down the mock-ups for the first of the Jingle Ball classes. Yay! And I've got most of that design done. I'm looking at Kathy Haberman saying she's already receiving supplies for her Jingle Ball class, as I'm excited that I've almost finished designing one of them. So thanks, Kathy. But no, it's all good, and I think we work at different speeds, and that's fine too. So that's mostly what I'm stitching. I've been messing a little bit with the make and take project for the silver needle class that I'm doing in October. There's a technical thing that I'm trying to sort out, so I've got a little group of blanks while I fiddle with that a little bit. But yeah, it's been nice. It's been fun. On to Stash Spotlight. It is this lovely little pin set from Puntini Puntini, and these are really hard to show, so I'm going to show a picture that I'll put in here because they're just so beautiful. And they have a lovely swallowtail and some berries, which is particularly relevant because this week's World Around is the huckleberry, and particularly the mountain huckleberry. Now, there are lots of different kinds of huckleberries, but the one that I'm talking about is the mountain huckleberry, and that is because I grew up in an area where they grow well in Montana. They aren't something that are generally sold as plants outside of their growing area, and they aren't something that are generally sold as berries, again, outside of their growing area, unless they're a preserve. So they are potentially frozen. We used to get them frozen in Oregon sometimes, but mostly you would see them made into candy or preserved as jams and syrups and things like that. For the plants, they don't like being transplanted, and they're not grown commercially. They're also very picky about their growing conditions. And so this year I am taking the plunge, which is why they're on my mind. I have a couple of little seedlings, and I'll put in a photograph of my teeny little seedlings. It's harder to get the big ones because, again, they don't like being transplanted. So unless you start them from seed or quite small, they may just not be happy with being moved at all. So fingers crossed, they're going to do well. They have, as I said, very particular growing conditions. It's a native North American plant, but they grow at altitudes between 2,000 and 11,000 feet, so mostly in the mountains. They like to grow in the understory of trees, so under some of that forest canopy and some of the more open places, depending. Apparently our altitude here is fine, but our sun can be a little intense for them. And of course our soil is terrible. It's not what they want at all. So the ones that I have are growing in big barrels and fenced off from rye. If they ever do produce fruit, I'm going to have to tent them, because there was someone else in the garden group talking about growing huckleberries, and they said they had to protect them from the dogs eating them. So may I be so lucky that they produce enough fruit at some point that we have to keep them safe. But as I said, they grow throughout the western North American mountains, and I read one place that they have even grown in the Andes, but I couldn't find another source for that. They grow wild, and they're harvested by hand, so they're not commercially cultivated and they're not commercially harvested. They are pollinated by native bees and are in fact one of the only flowers available to bumblebee queens when they first emerge from the ground. The word huckleberry became part of American slang in the 19th century in phrases like, "I'm your huckleberry." So not just from the movie Tombstone. It was a real thing that they said. Or the phrase, "my huckleberry friend," which is potentially a reference to the friendship between Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn in the Mark Twain book, and refers to sort of an idyllic platonic friendship. There are types of huckleberries that are grown in the South where that book was set, but it is an entirely different kind from the wild mountain huckleberry. They are beloved by many animals, including bears, songbirds, small mammals, and they are the official state fruit of Idaho and then Montana. Native Americans have used them for centuries and even periodically burned the land where the huckleberries grow, both to feed the soil and to clear some of those taller plants. They're not very big shrubs, so they would clear out some of that taller plant to get them a little bit more sun exposure. And the tribes would gather in a very good huckleberry harvesting spot every summer, and it would be a huge festival where they would gather the berries, they would dry them for the winter, and they would use them, the way we would raisins or something, mix them with other things for a long-lasting food source. Once you get the berries, you have to either preserve them or use them right away. So they don't last, which is another reason they don't get shipped around the country, and you don't find them in a grocery store. But they're just so good. They make wonderful ice cream and jam and pie, and I've never tried them dried, but maybe, again, fingers crossed, in a few years, if any of these plants make it. I got them from 2 different native plant nurseries, so I've got 2 different strains going, and we'll see which ones make it. Potentially in a couple of years I'll have some berries that I can experiment with. So that's our world around the wild mountain huckleberry. If any of you have been lucky enough to have them, I hope you really enjoy them. Question last video was, do you want kits for Jingle Ball? And I really appreciated all of you taking the time to answer. It was very helpful. I think I'll probably continue to do what I have done so far, which is I do a limited number of kits and I provide the full detail of supplies and where I got everything. And then I'm also going to try and work up a supply sheet for shops if they want it, that they can have well in advance. And then that way they can be prepared too if they want to get their own supplies or alternatives in hand, because I know it can be a little bit hectic right when class registration starts. On to question this video. What is your favorite summer treat? I think mine, it's probably fruit or tomatoes. Tomatoes? Green beans? I don't know, anything fresh from the garden is just, oh, there's nothing like it. So all the summer produce, I like all of it. That's my favorite. Although when it's hot like this, ice cream is my favorite, but that's not just in the summer, that's all year round. So I think I'm going back to produce. And I'd love to hear what you think. On to best thing this video, the farmer's market has started again. Pardon me. Got excited and yawned. Well, we have a little farmer's market not far from us, so I can go first thing when they open up and get lovely fresh fruit and tomatoes and all my favorite things. And I can go see the lavender lady who knows me by now, and she sells a lot of lavender supplies, but she will also sell me pound bags of lavender, 1 and 2 pound bags. And so if you ever get a kit from me that has lavender in it, it came from the lavender lady at the farmer's market in Sparks. So there you go. On to giveaway. Last video, this Hearts Garden chart. Let's see if we can get a good look there. It's really hard to do, and you get that with the lovely swallowtail needle minder from the Gray Muse and the cottage garden threads to go with it. The word was garden, and the winner is at Isabella3510. Yes, I've got that right. Okay, 3510. So Isabella, send me an email with your mailing address and I will get that in the mail to you right away. Now, giveaway this time. I have tried to give these away several times, but every time the person who won has failed to contact me. So they're back in the rotation. And since it is July 4th, I thought it would be particularly appropriate to give away this set, or this pair, of Lady Liberty scissors from the Scissorist. Let's see, hold them up. There they go. So you can see she's got the lamp up. They're beautiful scissors. They make absolutely lovely scissors, and they're good quality. And it's appropriate for the holiday. So if you use the word lady in your comments, and I think this is the last, if somebody doesn't claim them this time, I'm going to give up. So use the word lady. And if you win, please contact me so I can send them to you, because I would love for them to go to a good home and not just keep living in the giveaway box. On to announcements. Not much more for me. I'm keeping things pretty quiet this weekend. As I said, Mosi is very, very stressed. Not at the moment. Oops, there we go. You can see her. She's not stressed at all because she's sleeping on the floor in my office. But later today when the fireworks start, she really gets bothered by that. So we just try and keep it low key for her. And because it's the weekend, they'll go on and off all weekend. Which is not ideal, but it is what it is, and we are fortunate to be able to stay inside with air conditioning and enjoy some time with each other. That's right, Mosi. Yeah, you tell them. I hope you have a lovely weekend. I look forward to chatting with you again, probably not in 2 weeks, because I think Midsummer Stitch is in 2 weeks. I know we'll be there having a meet and greet, but in 3 weeks then, I will see you for the next Flosstube. Have a lovely weekend, and there's a quick puppy video here at the end. Talk to you soon.